I've been talking about Hoffman boots for a very long time. You guys know that I'm a huge fan of this company. And it's not just the great products that they make. It's the story behind the company and the people that run it. This generational family of shoemakers right here in North Idaho make some of the best hunting boots and pack boots and lineman boots and all your boot needs right in one place at hoffmanboots.com. For us hunters, I highly recommend the Explorer. And I don't care if you're running in the 6-inch or the 8-inch or the 10-inch. Personally, I love my 8-inch Explorers. They've got the Vibram sole. They are totally waterproof. There's no break-in period. Guys, you can't go wrong with Hoffman boots because you get all that without breaking the bank. So check them out at hoffmanboots.com and use promo code all caps lock Huntsman10 at checkout for 10% off and find out why I have been wearing my Hoffman boots for years and years. Don't be one of those people that have it in their mind that Savage Arms is the same firearms that your grandpa was running around with 40 years ago. It's not. Big game hunting rifles that you can count on. I love my Savage firearms. I have got the Savage 110 Hunter, and my daughter is pretty happy with this 110 Apex Hunter XP. The AccuTrigger is a really interesting little piece to this firearm, and it's a new piece of technology that if you've never tried one, you should, because it'll make you more accurate. It's a much easier, higher quality firearm than anything else I've got out there, and I've got a lot of firearms, guys, and so if you're in the market for a new hunting rifle, make sure you visit savagearms.com, because I promise you're going to find something that is accurate, easy to handle, easy to use, long range, functional, just a high-quality weapon that you could take to the field and have a lot of confidence that when the time comes, you've got that Savage backing you up and you're going to be notching a tag. Check it out, savagearms.com. Let them know the Western Huntsman sent you. Thanks, guys. There exists a threat, from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast. This is Jim Huntsman, your host, coming at you from the Broken Tine studio and brought to you by Eastman's Hunting Journals. Super happy you guys are tuning in this week because I've got a good one for you. And he's a return guest, by the way. So we're gonna take a little trip back to Alaska to my good friend Adam Grenda, who agreed to join me and has been bearing with me for 25 minutes straight trying to deal with these audio issues because I'm still an idiot with this kind of shit, but we're gonna get it dialed in and figured out. So Adam, welcome to the show, brother. I appreciate you joining me, man.
Hey, dude, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you having me back on.
Again, man, I am sorry about all the, between trying Zoom and now we're trying it over the phone. We're going to see how this works out, dude. What a
yeah,
deal.
I mean, you're full on retarded about the computer stuff, and I don't help at all. So between me and you, maybe that should be recorded. That's pretty funny.
It probably was. I dropped, I don't know what, 30 F-bombs in the meantime trying to figure this thing out. But it's like this miracle from God that I'm able to even figure out how to record a podcast on a digital file, put it all together, and get it out into the interwebs. I'm telling you right now, like, I can't believe I'm that technical I can even do that.
Look at you go, buddy. Magic.
So how are things, man?
Good. Just kind of like we talked about before. I'm just like, man, seems like life's always crazy busy. You know, I was, our last one was, I mean, coming up on a year ago.
Yeah.
And my summer was nuts. wife runs retreats, and so she's got girls that come up here for a week at a time to hang out with her and live like a homeless person. She did 2 of those at a week at a crack. I did 2 family retreats where we kind of fished and camped and partied all over Alaska with 2 different families. So that kind of wiped out my whole summer, meaning like June and July, because then August hits and that's hunting season for here. I shot the biggest stall sheep I'll probably ever see in my entire life. So it was pretty insane. Yeah, I call it the albino bighorn because I'll send you a picture when we're done. My buddy's got both sets of horns. My bighorn, that was 181, and the stall sheep was 169. The all-time Boone and Crockett's 170 for a doll sheep, and it's the hardest animal statistically to put into the book. So obviously didn't quite make it, but I mean, really close, right? Just a whopper. And I'm not even a super duper sheep hunter. Like, guys are way into it. They don't hunt moose. They're just sheep freaks.
Yeah,
that's not me.
Yeah, me neither.
But a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. And then, it was awesome. Started out moose season with my daughter wanting to go. And I feel kind of like a shitty dad. And my kid, Dad, I want to go and get a moose. And it's like, that's like your 7-year-old saying, let's go elk hunt in North Idaho. Like, that's going to suck, right? I want to start out a little slow with something that's, I mean, we would be successful, but like, it hurts. It hurts a lot. So I start with a caribou or a black bear, but my oldest daughter, Julia, wanted to get a moose. I'm like, okay, let's go. We got a short 2-day window for it's going to get windy. I hate going when it's windy because I just worry. And long story short, shoots a 73-inch moose. Gross was like 254. I'll probably never shoot a moose that big in my life. I mean, it is gigantic.
Is that the one, Adam, that I'm on your Instagram here. Is that the one where she's standing with you? You're holding that big rack up?
Yeah, that big fucking colossal dinosaur.
Jeez,
that's that
man.
Thing.
That thing is freaking. Yeah. And I know what you mean. Like my whole season this last year was dedicated to my girls between bear and elk and deer. And so like my season, it sucked for my end, if I'm being like selfish, but man, it was super fulfilling because I took them out and we had a great season. The girls did. I didn't tag out shit. I killed a little buck. That was it. But all year I just had the girls out. And so I'm this year I'm trying to figure out how to balance that. How old's your daughter, man? 15. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Gosh, man, I'm gonna send that. My daughter's turning 15 next month. I'm gonna send this picture to her. This of that moose. Like, check this out, because we're always threatening to move to Alaska. Here's why.
Yeah, 100%. And I understand the selfish part. It's hard. We want to hunt, do stuff. We want to get our kids involved, but it's a balancing act of doing it all.
And for those of you listening that don't know what Adam's talking about when he's saying, I don't want to go out when it's super windy. He's one of those crazy sons of bitches that gets in this little airplane and flies all over Alaska to hunt. And so if it's windy, that's pretty bad conditions. Yeah, you want to tell everybody about how you do that, because you land and take off and get into some crazy areas, and it's like sketchy in my mind. But I love following you to watch you do this because it's cool.
Well, it's always sketchy if you're a little bit. So you can't fly like a bitch. That's what I tell people. But that comes with thousands of hours of screwing up and building your skill set. And, when you do something a lot, I don't care what it is, dude, you get good at it. And I fly a lot. Like, since May 1st last year, I got a new motor in, and I'm at like 283 hours on it right now.
That's a
since
lot.
May 1st. That's a shitload of time. I'll do probably 350 by May 1st. That's a lot. I spent $46,000 in avgas alone last year. So that, when you mix a high performance airplane that's really souped up, it's got all the good shit on it, and then you take a guy that's got thousands of hours, and you're taking the optimal performance of the machine and the optimal performance of the pilot, and you pick the right weather scenario, you can go to places that are pretty good. And I mean, the airplane, with no wind, I can land and take off 200 feet. If it's blowing 10 or 15 miles an hour, it's like 100 feet.
Yeah.
That typically, there's not a bunch of stuff in it. You got to put weight in there to get moose out and different things like that. But yeah, long story short, I live in Alaska. There's no roads up here. There's 3 roads. Some are really big. there's not a lot of access anywhere. So the whole idea of like hunting out of a truck, that doesn't happen. Like I'm in an airplane 300 to 400 hours a year. I'm in a vehicle maybe 100. So I'm very comfortable being in that tiny little Super Cub. It's my office, and I just crawl in there and I'm right at home, and I just, put some Katy Perry on or one of your podcasts, and I just start cruising a couple hundred feet above the ground and go party.
You know what? And what I like about having you on, man, and talking to you is like, this is not what you grew up doing. You grew up in my neck of the woods in North Idaho. Now, I don't know if you know this, dude, but since we talked last time, I actually ended up moving about 10 minutes down the road, and I'm in Montana now. We got a hell of a deal on a homestead, and the lady we bought it from grew up on a homestead in Alaska. And just, I mean, this lady is incredible, man. Like, she went chasing a bear off a grizzly bear here in Montana off her chickens with a broom. Like, I wouldn't do that. She went running out there and chased it off the chickens with a broom. And, she's like 78 years old. But it's because of that grit. She's like got this gritty personality from growing up in Alaska and in super remote country, kind of like where you live. Because I remember I asked her, and I remember I remember roughly where you live, and it wasn't super far. I want to say it's like within 150 miles, which in Alaska, that's not far. And so I can't remember exactly where she said to tell you. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, you're a North Idaho kid growing up, and you hunted all these mountains around me, and did that whole hunt from a truck situation, and now you're living the way you live now. And in fact, in case somebody doesn't know who you are and what's your background, tell everybody kind of how you live and what you do.
Oh, you want me to sit on a freaking soapbox or what, dude? Like,
not like a big soapbox, dude, but just kind of give us the bird's eye view.
Man, I'm just a regular dude. I grew up in Post Falls, Idaho. My first time ever going hunting with my dad, I was 3, and I saw him smoke a deer, and I just thought I was bloodthirsty. And I don't think our culture today, and we can probably circle back, Biden administration would say to this, but I don't think there's a lot of kids these days, even with my kids, they're not bloodthirsty. Like when it was a question to me and my dad, like, do you want to go? And I was like, I couldn't put my shit on fast enough. 3 a.m, wake up, I'll be in the truck ready to roll.
Yeah.
Hunting or fishing. Unfortunately, my kids really don't have that. So I was bloodthirsty at a young age. Got a truck in high school, had a job, and bagging groceries at Albertsons over in Liberty Lake, and just enough to buy gas to just. That's before like phones. I had like a flip phone, but I mean, you had to have a Forest Service map and know how to read a map, or you're going to get lost.
Oh yeah.
And I drove everywhere over north, like the Bunko, the Coeur d'Alene, 4th of July Pass, all that stuff, all that's Bonners. Just exploring. It was so cool to have wheels and do that and learn stuff. And we had a lot of gated roads and country, but North Idaho sucks to hunt, dude. I'll just tell you right now, it's awful because hunting, you have to see the animal to get it. North Idaho has a lot of timber, and everyone's like, oh, it's really pretty. Yeah, it's great and pretty when you drive in. There's a lot of trees. There's a shitload of trees, but those trees hide a lot of animals. So it's difficult.
Yeah. Very.
Love to fish. Like, a ton. I would sit out at Hauser Lake with power bait, and my dad's like, dude, you need to come home. It's been 12 hours. And I kind of got it in through a guy my dad knew to go up and work in Alaska when I was 17. I was a little camp helper dude, and I got my foot in Alaska, and I came back and I said, man, I want to be a bush pilot in my next life. My dad's like, you could still do that. I took an intro flight of how to fly airplanes where they throw you in the left seat of a little Cessna 172, and I was pretty good at it. A lot of shit going on, but it's pretty good. And then 9 months later, I have a flight instructor rating, a commercial pilot's license, a float plane rating, and I'm going back to Alaska to guide. And over the next, I don't know, that was when I was 18. Over the next couple of years, I just started to build experience as a fishing guide, and then I was a pilot for flying float planes out of really high-end resorts, lodges, air taxi work, flying all over the state, and then worked in North Dakota, oil field in Williston, when I wasn't flying in Alaska, and then a federal job came up in King Salmon, so I went to work for the National Park Service, and did that for 5 years and then quit because I didn't like the federal government when I went in. I kind of have a problem with authority, like being told what to do. I wasn't a very good kid.
That's why we get along, brother.
Yeah, I just get beat a lot. And the thought of having a boss just never really sat right with me. But I didn't think I was the guy to own my own business or be an entrepreneur or anything like that. I was just like, you have a job, you go to work, you get vacation time, you ask your boss for hunting days off, and that's life. And I kind of shifted the mindset, quit the job, and now I have a dime piece of wife. I got 5 adopted kids. I just picked up another baby boy in foster care. So I have a 10-month-old baby boy. So I currently have 6 kids. Put my heart out there again. Even though
I
that's
didn't know that, man.
stressful.
Congrats.
Yeah, he's super cute, and he's a boy because we got a lot of girls. Girls are still outnumbered. So I'm married to a super smoke show of a wife. She's a redhead, so she can get crazy from time to time, but I do love her. I try not to make direct eye contact. And she makes good money. She wants to live in the middle of nowhere. She runs online fitness, health training business, and a bunch of different stuff. And now I don't really have like a job per se. I do a lot of different things to make money, and I make way more than I did at the feds. But I am an entrepreneur, and I do a lot of different things, and I can go hunting.
Good for you, man. I remember the first time I had you on the show. It was kind of new, you know. You just left the Forest Service, and this was all kind of new. So that's or Park Service. So, yeah.
Get it right. Forest Service sucks. Park Service, it's full of hippies, dude. I did not fit in.
Yeah,
I
know. I know. And so that's always a question I ask. And by the way, everybody listening, Adam's with my pal Tom Schneider over at Stuck in the Rut. These guys, and everybody. Your wife's involved in Stuck in the Rut. Is it your brother and brother-in-law, other brother-in-law, that's with Stuck in the Rut? I always confuse that one.
Yeah, Travis. So Travis is the oldest. Tom's below him, Tana, and then Trevor. Travis started Stuck in the Rut in 2010. All I did was just marry into it. And then literally all I brought to the table, because I wasn't a big hunter, I was big into Crown Royal and Keystone Light.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just I had this plan. I'm going to move to Alaska and buy a Super Cub. And they're like, sure, you can marry our sister. Go for it. But that's kind of how I got into Stuck in the Rut, and I just married into it. And now I get a lot of footage and I do a lot of the flying.
Yeah, man, and it's awesome stuff. And I mean, in full disclosure, I have not poked around the Stuck in the Rut YouTube for a while, and I need to jump back on there and check it out. It's not Stuck in the Ruts. It's everybody's. I haven't watched people's hunting videos for a long time. I was addicted to these things for the longest time. I even tried to make my own, but all it does is screw up my hunts, so I don't do it anymore. But
yeah, it's very difficult.
What is it, man? Without getting super philosophical, what is it about dudes like you and I'm the same way as you are. Maybe we didn't know we had this entrepreneur mindset. All we knew is we kind of had authority problems. And what is it about guys like us where that comes from? Because dude, I'm not even going to go there at this point because I'm working on another thing with that particular person. But I had a boss that would call me incessantly and bitch me out on my voicemail because I didn't change my voicemail to say the company name. And that was it for me, dude. I was done. Nope, not working for anybody. Nobody calls me and tells me how my voicemail has to sound. You know what I mean? And I don't know if where does that, do you ever think about where does that come from? Because I've always been this way.
Are you still doing the roof thing though? The roof estimates?
Yeah. So I basically work for myself now. I started my own company and I do that. I've been doing it for a while, but I haven't made it super well known. Just because I was, it's complicated. Let me put it to you that way. But yeah, no, I work for myself basically.
Classy. Okay, so to answer your question, I don't know. I was a 3-year-old kid. My dad would say, "Don't go kick the dog." I'd walk over there, look at my dad, smile, kick the dog. I knew my ass was getting beat. I'm like, I'm going to do what I want to do. So I think my wife calls that stubbornness. She also does some personality tests. I don't know if they're called Enneagrams. She's like, "Oh, I'm an Enneagram, whatever," and they associate a number. But I just explained this to a kid because a kid looked at my Instagram, and I try to get back to you on Instagram. I want to, if people actually take the time to write me something, I want to get back to them. Don't send me a fucking reel. I'm not going to watch it.
I know, right?
But,
I get a bunch of those. I got hundreds of them, and I have to click on it just to get it out of the notification thing on my DMs.
Yeah, sorry to get too petty there, but yeah, some kid asked me, dude, you have a killer life and stuff like this. How to do? I sent him a few voice memos, but what I started with is my dad raised me to like the saying of like, there's a big difference between talking and doing. And everyone runs their mouth and says, oh, I'm going to move to Alaska, or oh, I'm going to go moose hunting, or I'm going to buy a Super Cub and learn to fly it. I'm like, dude, I sure hope you do. Right. But it's a lot easier to sit here and run your mouth and tell me you're going to do all this shit to actually pony up, get scared. It's scary learning how to fly an airplane. You can easily kill yourself any moment. And when that's when you're learning, right? I mean, I guess anytime you could die, but it's like running a chainsaw with no experience.
Or
like, this is a fatal tool.
Kill yourself in a Chevy learning how to drive. You know, it's yeah, totally.
Yeah. Just real steep learning curve in an airplane. And so there's a lot of talking that goes around this world. Everyone wants to talk. Everyone wants to look cool, especially on the fake bullshit of Instagram. And I don't want to be, and I've never been the kind of guy to talk. I want to be the guy that shows up and just, here's a picture. I did this, you know?
Yeah.
And proof's in the pudding. And just show up and just, there it is. Back to the boss thing, it just never sat right with me that I trade time for money. And part of being an entrepreneur is you don't trade time for money. I don't go and work for $46 an hour, which sounds like a lot. It ain't shit in Alaska, right? When I'm flying a $600,000 airplane, keeping
and the
people
whole
alive.
The Biden economics, man, it ain't a lot in Post Falls, Idaho either.
No, not at all. So yeah, I made, I don't know, $46 an hour flying for the feds. It didn't sit well with me that I had a Super Cub, had my dream wife. I didn't have kids at the time when I was doing this. And I'd have to go into my boss, which was a really good boss. And I've told the story in a lot of podcasts, but it's relevant. And I'd have to ask him for time off. And he'd go look at the flight calendar. And some people plan their flights like almost a year in advance. And he's like, oh, actually, we got something, August 8th to the 13th. So you're not going to be able to leave from the opener of sheep season on August 10th. And I'm just like, oh, man. Well, do I need to come 5 years in advance to plan my sheep hunting? I'm like, I moved to Alaska to hunt. And then if I ever drew anything, it was very conflicting because I have to put all this stuff out. So my calendar's blocked out, and I'd get like 2, maybe 3 full weeks off a year, which is a lot of hunting, right? Mm-hmm. And I burned all the vacation hunting, but it never sat with me, dude. And I just started to get bitter at work. And after COVID, everything changed. I wasn't flying. My wife's like, why don't you just quit? You're going to be Joe Biden's little bitch your whole life. Literally said that. Verbatim. That's bless her heart.
I like your life, dude.
She sparked something in me, and it was like, it was growing. She planted the seed, and it was just growing inside of me. And it's just like, man, freaking bitch pissed me off, but she kind of got a point, kind of got a point.
Man, I was. Go ahead.
What do I do? And so I finally talked to a couple buddies, like Ben, my buddy's shed crazy as he goes by, and a couple others.
Yeah.
Most people said, don't do it. You got the Fed job. You're going to retire. It's going to be awesome. This and that. And I'm just like, I'm not going to count on the federal government for my well-being and prosperity. So fuck them. I'm out.
Yeah. I don't know that the sentence working for the government and prosperity can like go together unless you are like Nancy Pelosi or any other politician that gets bought off. They prosper, but the rest of us don't.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, man. Like I've always, like you, I remember I had this job at this taco place. It was like taco maker or some shit. I don't remember. I was 16 or 17 years old. And I remember like a month and a half before deer season, I went to my boss and requested the time off. And this lady was one of those real power trippy ladies that was like, she just wanted to, she could have worked that out, but she just wanted to hear herself say no. So she denied me the opening weekend of deer season off. So I fucking quit. And like, I've always had that kind of, yes, sir. And,
suck it, man.
That's exactly, and I quit like 2 days before, so she had to get her ass in there over the weekend and work over the weekend to cover me and I warned her I would do that, because I asked her if she'd change her mind if I could have the weekend off. She still said no, so I said, fuck you, I'm going deer hunting. But anyway, I remember, like it wasn't the fact, like she didn't give me a reason If she had like this big reason and would have been like nice about it and talked to me and, hey, I really need you, you know, and I don't have anybody else, it would have been different. But she was just like, no, you can't have that weekend off. And that telling somebody telling me that like I felt like, even though I was a teenager, I felt like I was this unliberated man. And so anyway, everybody's like, you got an authority problem. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to join the Marines. It's been my lifelong dream. So I go join the Marines. And everybody's like, well, I don't know how that's going to work. You don't like authority, blah, blah, blah. Which, by the way, man, Adam, I want everybody to hear me, that you dickheads out there that say, oh, I would have joined the Marines, but I would have punched a drill instructor in the face. Bitch, you'd still be wearing your ass as a hat. You don't give me that excuse. I hate hearing that. And all Marines, by the way, I'm doing this as a public service. Don't embarrass yourself to anybody that has been in the service by saying you didn't join because you would have punched your drill instructor, because we all laugh at you. You're a pussy. Anyways.
Yep, I agree.
Getting back, I joined the Marines, and it's interesting when you're in the service, man. Like, I didn't have that much of an authority problem. I still hated being told what to do and all that kind of stuff. That's why I didn't make a career out of it. But I thought it would like fix that. You know what I mean? And it didn't. It actually made it worse. So at the older I've gotten, I have zero tolerance for bosses. I have zero tolerance for people telling me that they can dictate my life and control my life. I have zero tolerance for the government and politicians who think that they know better than I do about how my life should go and what I should pay out of my income and all this stuff that kind of just builds up, and how I need to pay taxes to save the environment. You know, I'm sorry. No. I'm not gonna pay taxes because you think you're gonna take that money and pay for like Ukraine or illegal immigrants, and that's somehow saving the environment. Kiss my ass. You can tell I'm pretty fired up tonight.
Taxation is theft. That's a plug from my buddy Jordan Curry in North Idaho.
It's true.
Taxation is theft.
What'd you say his name was?
Jordan Curry. Went to high school with him. He's a MMA fighter.
It sounds
he got back into MMA fighting. Yeah, I think he did some real estate, some Airbnbs and stuff. But yeah, that's like, I'm pretty sure he's got it as like a tramp stamp. Like, taxation is theft. And my wife said it the other day because we're currently doing taxes, and it's just like,
it is.
Man, do I need to buy an airplane for a write-off?
Yeah, seriously. Taxation is theft, man. And like, I wouldn't care if everybody paid like an equal amount. You know, like a little amount. Not everybody pays. Like, I get almost a 40% chunk taken out of my ass, man. And I am sorry. That is ludicrous. That is freaking stinking ludicrous. There's no excuse for it. And I see the way the government spends my tax dollars, and they think that I'm supposed to be okay with that? Like, anyway, we're going down a total...
I was the guy spending those tax dollars, and that's what didn't really... It finally was like the end of the line for me at the Fed.
Well, yeah, but
I saw how much money was wasted.
That is what taxes are for, though. To pay our Forest Service employees, to pay our parks employees, to pay all these federal services that actually serve the community in a positive way, not to pay some EPA agent $80,000 a year to go tell a farmer what field he can or can't plow, or how much rainwater he can collect. And instead, our tax money goes to, did you know, I don't even know, I'm just going to quote it. I get fired up, man, and I'm fired up tonight for some reason. Probably because it's Friday night. But, did you know that we've had more illegal immigrants cross our border in the last 90 days than the entirety of the population of the state of Wyoming? Chew on that for a minute. Like, who's paying for that? Who's paying for that? And that's what they're taxing us for. That kind of stuff and these bullshit prerogatives that the government comes up to that we're paying for to find out if bullfrogs in Mississippi get horny over a certain sound. I'm sorry. I'm just, man, I'm so over it. I'm just over it, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how we got down that freaking rabbit hole. I think you originally started talking to me about like hunting in Alaska, like how I go about getting from point A to point B, and then I start flying.
That's how we roll on the Western Huntsman, man. Sorry about that.
Yeah. I'm a no-notes kind of guy. I just did another podcast last week, and that's what I said. I'm like, dude, I'm a no-notes. But anyways, yeah, there's minimal roads in Alaska. Got a Super Cub. I fly myself in. I'm not an outfitter. I'm not a guide. I'm not an air taxi. I'm not a transporter. No, you can't go with me, so don't ask. I take really close friends of mine, which is a very, very small circle, and family, and my kids. And that is a priority. My kids are number one priority, and they want to go with me more and stuff. But yeah, I had a killer hunting season. I'm trapping right now, so the airplane's on skis, which are straight skis. And basically just a big snowboard that straps onto the axle and has a couple cables that limit the travel, and they're kick-ass. It sucks to maneuver on the ground. It sucks to turn around. They don't have any brakes. There's not any good like cushion to them, like those big Tundra tires I read, but you can land places you'd never land ever because it's frozen swamp and lakes and all kinds of stuff. And I'm trapping right now, and it's like 41 degrees and raining, and our snow is melting off my airstrip.
Oh, man, really? So you guys are going through that too, huh?
Yeah, and where I live is like kind of a temperate climate in Alaska, southwest Alaska, and so it happens. I got some little snow coming Saturday, and then I'm going to go check my traps, I think, Sunday. And yeah, I think we'll probably get some more snow in March. I try not to panic. I've taken off like on wet morning dew on the freaking grass before with these snowboards and just lay the whip to it and give her the onion and she'll go. And then I came back, picked up all my traps, picked up a shitload of wolverine and landed on the grass. And, yeah, that was a little interesting, but it made it fun, you know, but
I've always wondered, Adam, when like you look at those, what do you call those? The skis?
Yeah.
So when you attach those, because I just assume it's like this thing where it's like my tractor attachments. I have all these tractor attachments. I pull some pins and I swap something out. Is that what it's like on a plane? You just kind of swap those out, right? And you mentioned, go ahead.
Pretty much you have a gear leg that comes down. It looks like an A-arm off a rig, right? And then it's got an 1.5-inch diameter axle that's like 6 inches long. And the end of that is threaded, and it's got a hole through it for like a castle nut that you run a cotter key through, you know, because any pivoting action isn't going to have a solid nut. It's going to have a cotter key because that is allowed to let that only have so much torque and to still pivot and roll. So basically, you lift the airplane up when I got to hoist from the hangar with a lifting bar, and you spin that axle nut off. You pull the tire off. The ski is basically 18 inches wide by 6 feet long, metal, and then it's got that UHMW 1/4-inch like plastic on the bottom, you know, really tough stuff.
Yeah.
And all countersug screws, and you just slip that. It's got a hole through a little pedestal that comes up right in the middle. It's all just one piece of aluminum. That slips on. You spin that nut back on with a big washer, and you put a cotter key in it, and you roll. There's obviously other shit that goes on, but it's pretty quick.
That's like the bases. Okay. So the question I would have with that, because I always wonder about this when you like see you see a regular Cessna 172 up there. It's got its wheels and all that kind of stuff, and they're flying. And then you see these planes transition to like either lake mode where they put the pontoons on them. Have you, and side question, have you flown with the pontoons before?
Well, for one, let's get your shit straight. You gotta say floats or you sound like a queer, okay?
Oh, well.
So pontoons make you sound like a total rookie, but you're going to be good at the end of this. Yeah, I got, I don't know, a couple thousand.
Did you say I sound like a queer? Is that what you said?
No, I said you would sound like a queer if you kept saying pontoon.
But now I've been educated. So you call them floats.
Floats. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't have floats for my Cub, and I've flown a lot of work planes, a lot of other people's planes, and I used to do that for a job every single day. Lots of float planes up here because there's a shitload of water in the summer, and you can go a lot of places.
Okay, so my question is, when I again, total layman, I mean I called the floats pontoons. You know that's how much I don't know.
You're not a queer.
No. I know. But from a layman's standpoint, when I look at that, and I look at the skis versus the wheels, right? And we're talking, like these Cubs and these little Cessna 172s or whatever. Does it change? Not on the ground, but when you're in flight, like those big skis seem like they have a lot of drag or something, and so do those floats. Does it change the way you have to fly, and is it like a totally different skill set, or is it like not that different?
No, there'll be a little speed difference, but I mean, an airplane's an airplane. It's got a wing, it's got a prop, and there's aerodynamic principles that apply, and they'll still apply no matter what configuration you're in, whether it's wheels, floats, or skis. The real shit that matters is how you fly them. Like water on floats, a lot of people don't know this. You don't have any shocks or suspension. The water is supposed to give, but when you're trying to land a 5,000-pound beaver at a 3-foot swell, it gets pretty rough. You can break stuff. I know a guy personally from experience. And the skis, like I said, there's
what do you
no
mean?
brakes.
You break what? Stuff on the plane, or like are you talking about breaking a bone?
No, I mean, it'll shatter your teeth. I mean, okay, so you got a 3-foot swell, right? And the swell is not in fast succession, so they're kind of long and drawn out. And you're trying to land a 5,000 or a 5,600-pound max gross beaver into this swell to take guys to go fishing, and the weather sucks, and you can't really read the water, and you don't think the waves are that big, and you go in there, and you can actually go in there and like put a wrinkle in a float because there's no shock absorption, and so you're supposed to be, you're supposed to not land in shit that big.
Interesting. I have weird curiosities, man. I've seen these planes flying around with these skis on them and stuff, and I'm like, man, it looks like that would, because when you look at the ski, right, it looks to be like one of the flaps or something. Like it could really catch some wind. And so, I just have weird curiosities. I'm super ignorant when it comes to flying single-engine plane. Well, hell, any plane. But it's just always been like one of those interests. It's like, man, it'd be cool if like Adam has so much freedom because he could fly, and it just allows you to, yeah. Like talk about that for a minute, Adam. Like what's the difference? Like you grew up driving around these logging roads of North Idaho. But now you're in Alaska where it's way bigger country. It's way more of like this diversified country with the different species to hunt and different. It's just totally different, right? And you've got a plane to be able to access. What's like the biggest difference between that and just hunting on these old logging roads in North Idaho?
I guess a couple things. It's the ultimate level of freedom. A Super Cub is, a lot of people have said, and I would agree, the closest thing you can get to strapping on 2 wings to your body. It's a small cabin. I'm 6'2", 260, and it's like almost touching me on the shoulders, and the co-pilot sits right behind you, your passenger or whatever. You go slow. You get to observe God's country. It's awesome. They land in some really awesome places. There's no roads up here, so you need an airplane to access places. I don't want to rely on anyone else. I want to rely on myself and my own knowledge and my machine and my set of tools to get me out of a bad situation if I need to. And there's a lot of people that think, oh, it's unethical. You looked for moose before you landed in said valley, or you flew around, and like there's just the ethics police all over there. And Alaska's so big, I don't know many pilots or many people that fly in that aren't pilots, but just hire an air taxi and fly in, that don't look out the window, because there's so many millions and millions of acres up here.
I would want my pilot to look out the window.
No, I'm saying look out the window for game.
No, I know, but you guys, you can't. Isn't the law? And I don't know if this is a state or federal thing, but isn't the law like you can't hunt the same day you fly?
Oh yeah, that's a law. And I've had people accuse me I don't do that. I'm like, man, they call it the same day airborne rule. If I same day airborne moose, because that's what I've gotten before from people, I would have a couple 80 inchers. Okay. But I don't. It's not worth it. It's a coward move. I think it doesn't give the animal a fair chance. These are guys saying, oh, you flew into a drainage and you looked around and you saw there was bull moose in there, then you landed and you hunted for a week. And you may have shot one the next day. That rarely happens. It's hard, really hard. Moose move a lot, just like elk. And so it allows you to have an aerial perspective to put yourself in the game-rich environments. I don't hunt where there's not game and there's not sign, right? If I go and there's no tracks, there's no, like in a shallow lake that's 2 feet deep, you can see where the moose have walked across in the last 6 months. If there's no fresh moose tracks walking across that, or there's no moose sign or like cows around in this creek drainage, and I'm looking up on the hills and I don't see any fresh shed out bulls, and it's like 7 o'clock at night, it's like, well, why would I hunt here? There could be a bull that strolls into here, but let's go to a place that's got a shitload of cows, right?
Yeah.
Just like you in August, you want to find a place that has no cow elk. I'm like, well, this basin could pull in one lone rolling bull elk, and he might come through here looking for cows. And if I have my super duper hoochie mama, I might be able to force it in here and shoot him, right? Or would you go to a place that's loaded with feed, got a bunch of cow elk, you know?
I love the hoochie mama reference, man.
They've all used them,
right? I know.
Yeah.
I spent way too much time. My cousin Andrew dropped one on a mountain one time. We were hunting. This is years ago. It's way too much time going back to that mountain to try to find that damn hoochie mama.
Yeah. But so, in retrospect, the airplane, it makes you feel super, super free. I can leave. Like, I'm going to go Sunday when the weather's good. I'm going to go check my traps. I'm going to fly around. I don't have anyone else to go with, so I'm going on by myself. I might take a kid. I might take my wife. I'm going to bring a bunch of gas. I have tools. I have 2 -60 sleeping bags and a tent and an axe and a shovel if we get stuck, if we have to build a cabin and start the whole forest on fire to stay alive till someone picks us up. You're totally relying on yourself, and I just love it, man. It's raw. It's the real deal. And it's especially trapping. Trapping's hard-ass work, dude. Even with an airplane, I work my balls off to maybe lose $2,000 every year. You know, like last year I sold a bunch of, yeah, shit, dude, it's so expensive trapping on an airplane, but it allows you to be successful, right? You trap one drainage with a snow machine, which in Alaska, that's a snowmobile for people in Idaho. They call it a snow machine in Alaska, and you trap 30 miles of a drainage. Well, I'll put one set up here at 30 miles. I'll rip down 30 miles to the end of this creek, and I'll put another one. And then I'll fly 40 miles to another drainage, right? And then I'll put a couple more there. And then I'll go to another drainage. So I got all these different things going. And traveling an airplane is very difficult, expensive, time-consuming, weather's tough, but you're successful if you can cover a lot of area. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah, man. If you guys are into shooting the copper bullets, man, I got a great deal for you. We have partnered with Barnes Bullets. They are world famous, known for that VOR TX rifle, the deadliest, most accurate hunting loads on the planet. I like this company, guys, because I have a personal connection to these guys. Down in central Utah, my dad's got this ranch, and on the way to the ranch, you drive past this Barnes Bullets factory, and it's a really cool building just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So I know them well. These all-copper bullets provide destructive power, double diameter expansion, maximum weight retention, and devastating energy transfer, all with excellent accuracy. It's a great choice for Western big game hunters and shooters everywhere. So check them out at barnesbullets.com and let me know what you guys think. I appreciate it. You've heard my Silencer Central ads, I'm sure. And I don't know if you have reached out and contacted them yet. If you're interested in a silencer, though, man, this is the way to go. Silencer Central from the start to finish, because it's quite the process. If you've never gotten a suppressor for one of your rifles, you've got to go through and do the ATF paperwork and the background checks and all that kind of stuff. But the cool part is Silencer Central takes care of it all. It's a several-month process, and so what's cool about it is if you don't want to drop all that money right at the top end of this whole process, you can just get a hold of them, and you can do like a payment plan while they're taking care of all the paperwork on the back end. I have the Banish 30, and this thing is awesome. I've never used one of these before, so I'm like learning as I go along. But what I was getting at is from start to finish, Silencer Central has been some of the most amazing people I've ever worked with through the process. They treated me like I was family, and I really appreciated it. You guys should check them out, and you can call them at 866-891-4494 or check it out at silencercentral.com. It will be worth your time, I promise. Well, I got a question for you, man. So like, so I homestead, right? And
Yep.
prior to where we live now, now we have an actual house. Like I feel like a civilized human being. Okay. For the last 2 years, we had. I'm sure you remember where Clark Fork, Idaho is. We
Yeah, another.
we had a little homestead going on over there where we were living in a fifth wheel, and like weather was a big deal. I watched the weather like a hawk. I was just like obsessed with the weather reports going on, blah blah blah. And I can't tell you how many times I wanted to blacken the eye of the weatherman, and just like I don't understand, and I'm no meteorologist, right? I'm not a weatherman, but I don't understand how somebody could be so wildly inaccurate with their job and still have a job. So my question to you is where it's even more critical, because I watched weather to make sure. I wanted to know if I was going to get frost on the garden. I wanted to know if I was going to have to spend the next day plowing the driveway. I wanted to know all these things. And how much propane did I need? All that kind of stuff. It's kind of like life or death for you in a plane. Does it happen where you get like surprised by the weather, where you see one thing and then it's like completely different by the time you get up in the sky?
We only had that happen once. I had to spend the night, couple nights in on the Alaskan Peninsula on the Beaver. It just got so bad. If I continued, I was pretty sure I was going to die because I couldn't see anything. It was like quarter-mile visibility. But especially now, like older days, like, sorry to get a soapbox, dude. I really hate the term bush pilot. The real bush pilots are dead, or they're like 85, 90 years old.
Yeah.
Couple still hanging around. Those guys paved the way in Alaska. They broke shit. They figured out the weather, how to deal with stuff. Now we have phones. I mean, I can check the weather if I have service flying. I can, if I don't have service, I'll inReach my wife, say, hey, look at the weather cameras at so-and-so village. How's it look? What's the wind doing? What's the ceiling? There's so many different options to stay safe. People still die up here every year. I've had multiple people that I know die this year. Some mechanical, some weather, some pilot error. And weather is still a really big factor for people because they get to the situation they can't get out of. But we have a ton of weather sources. I have an app section in my phone that's just aviation weather. It's got 9 different apps on it. And I look at the weather like a crackhead, especially in the summer or in the winter, because I'm looking at the temperatures and looking at the snowfall, see if I can track and find new places to trap and different things like that. See if I can find wolf tracks to go set some snares on a moose kill or something. And right now, like I told you before, it's like 40 degrees raining, so our snow is leaving very quickly.
That's literally what we are too. So
yeah, it's depressing. But yeah, there's a lot of weather resources out there. You can still get yourself in the bind. I got some hairy shit last year going sheep hunting up in the smoke. Don't have a lot of experience with smoke, and it's very unpredictable. And you read about it.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Training, and you're trying to fly through the smoke, and it's, I can see a mile, and all of a sudden, like, I can't see shit, and I can't see down, I can't see up, and I'm basically in the clouds, and that's not a good place to be, and I had to get the hell out, like, right now. So, yeah.
Wow, man.
It can happen quick.
Gosh, I just like it just sounds so. I love the thought. For some reason, you obviously, if you do what you do, Adam, you've got to have this. I get somewhat of a thrill out of the risk of all that, and it just like excites me. It's like why I joined the Marines and stuff like that, and not just the Marines. I joined the infantry. We're jumping out of helicopters and doing all sorts of crazy shit. So I just like that kind of stuff. It just excites me. Does it ever get old, or is it always exciting? Being like, I know you said, there's no real bush pilots left, but you're like, for our generation, I would call you a pretty solidified expert bush pilot in Alaska. Does that ever get old?
Not really, dude. Like I said, I make pretty good money. My wife makes pretty good money. I got really healthy kids. Don't have a job, and I can leave and go hunting or fly whenever I want to. And I caught my first wolverine of the year the other day, and I texted my wife, I'm like, this is a really pretty wolverine. I said, this is badass. I'm having a kick-ass time out here by myself. I don't think this will ever get old. And she's like, no, it won't. So to answer the question, no, it's freaking awesome. I love it, and that's why I do it. And yeah, there's a ton of risk. I land a lot of places, and I'm sitting there, and I put my hand out, like extend my arm, and I'm sitting there shaking, like vibrating, and I'm just like,
Oh, I
fuck yeah,
bet.
that's why I do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
so, I mean,
man.
there's a risk that you may crash this airplane, and I'm landing places no one's ever going to come pick me up because I'm like, well, if you crashed in there, it's got to be a shitty spot because I'm not going in there. It's steep, it's nasty, it's giant holes with tundra and stuff. It's soft and swampy. There's standing water, or all the above. And I'm like, I can make it work.
Yeah.
It's calculated risk if you take it, but I'm really precise in how I fly. I hold myself to an extreme standard. I get irate if it doesn't go exactly how I planned. I'm my own worst critic by far, but I think what really helps me is I don't just go fly an airplane to fly. Like, oh, Jim, you want to go burn some gas? Like, no, that's redundant. Why would you do that? I
Too
go
expensive.
and I'm going to go. Yeah, but I'm going to go, and it's always proficiency. So I'm always trying to do the shortest takeoff, the shortest landing, so I know how the airplane operates, these environmental conditions with this load, different things like that. Let's go find places I can land for moose. Let's go see if there's any moose around said places. Let's go look for a moose shed. Let me just go get tuned up before sheep season, because sheep season is really technical, and sometimes you're flying at higher altitudes, and the airplane will not perform nearly as well as it does where I live at sea level, pretty much. So let's go work on 50 landings today, and let's just go bounce the tires in multiple different spots to make it muscle memory that this machine and we are working together in harmony perfectly, and I'm ready for whatever hunting season throws at me. So all my flying is mission driven. I don't just go around and just say, hey, you just want to go burn some gas today? It's very, very focused.
Fuck, man, this is so fascinating to me. It really is. I always think about, like the life that I live. Okay, and you're gonna laugh at this, but I'm like 45 minutes to an hour from the closest like convenience of like a Walmart or something. Okay, so I think I live way out in sticks. And then I look at like, I know people, I've got family, they live in these big city or urban environments where, they can order Uber Eats and all these things. And I think that, man, I am just like a fucking mountain man out where I live. I have bears killing my chickens. Yeah. And I think I'm so rustic and wild and free and away and in the sticks and all that kind of stuff. Dude, when I talk to you, your life is like times 10 of what I'm doing. And so it's exciting. And I love to, one of the biggest things I like talking to you about, man, is you're authentic as all get out. You're not afraid to say what you think and what's on your mind. And you're just an authentic dude. And you could see it whether people follow you on Instagram, which by the way, folks, is at Grenda89. That'll be in the show notes. But whether somebody's just following you on Instagram or they're watching the Stuck in the Rut videos, which are excellent, or they hear you on a podcast or whatever, you're like the same dude every time, and it's just like you're the same authentic dude. You're just a solidified hunter that any hunter would look at and respect, and so that's really what it is. So I want to transition from that. I want to talk about. You mentioned before I hit record the dick bone movement, and we talked about the dick bone last time you were on the show, but I think that it's transformed into maybe what you're referring to as a movement or a something else other than, I think back then it was like you were just kind of doing really good, you'd make these dick bones and it was like fun, right? And not in like a gay way. And so what is the dick bone movement?
Yeah. It's become a lot more than just selling cock, I'll tell you that, okay? For people who don't know, a dick bone is also the technical term is a baculum, and it's a penis bone found in, there's probably a lot more, but as far as I know, raccoons, marten, mink, all the mustelids, weasel family, wolverine, I get a lot of those, wolf, coyote, fox, bear. Oh, dude, I'm probably missing some, right? And so,
I didn't know bears had them. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'll get back into the bear dick bones here in a minute. But long story short, I told this a lot because it's just a cool story. My buddy was just down here He came down to visit me a little bit, fly around, do some trapping and shit. The weather sucked. But down here, I killed a bunch of wolves. We all skinned them. He skinned one for me. He didn't have a ton of experience, so he was like really careful around the ears and the cartilage and the tail. Just like leaving a bunch of meat and stuff on there. So I pulled this wolf out of the freezer. Like a month later, I put it on the board and I'm fleshing it on the beam. And I gun the knife down. I feel something hard. I'm like, that's weird. And I reached down. I'm like, okay, he's got like a boner. And I was like, I didn't know wolf had a dick bone. I know bears had him before, but never played with dicks. Not my thing. No judgment if you did, but never played with him. And so I cut this thing out, put it on Instagram. Right, it's a joke. Total joke. Just being a sick bastard.
I remember that. I remember when you posted that.
Instagram's fake, dude. It's just all freaking bullshit reality, and I try to be real on there. When people meet me, it's like, oh, there's hope. There's actually real people in the world that aren't fake as hell when you meet them. It was total joke, just a gag, right? And I put it on there. I'm like, 20 sick bastards wants to bid on this. And like within an hour, I had a bid from a buddy for like $105, but I had a bunch of bids of like 80 or 90 or 100, right? So it wasn't just a one-off. And so I sold a dick, a 5-inch bone that's about a quarter inch by quarter inch, about 5 inches. 5 1/4. Anything over that, you're talking boon and crockett. Okay, that's a club right there.
Wait. You cut out when you said that. Anything over what would be like a boon and crockett?
Anything over 5 1/4 is like a boon and crockett.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Wow.
That's a hog, And it's pretty interesting. So then I make a reel because I had trapped a bunch of wolves, dude. And I had my whole back storage shed was full of wolf bodies. And I just made a reel. I said, I'm not gay. $100 is $100. And if you sick bastards want a dick, I'll go out and whack some dicks off right now for you guys. And I said it just like that. I said it with a perfectly straight face. And lo and behold, holy shit, dude, the dick bone movement's really taken off. I don't know if you heard, but I got invited to a pretty special Christmas party.
Yes, you did. I did hear.
Through my buddies at Field Ethos. I've been talking to those guys. They invited me down, and I brought a pocket full of dicks in my blazer. Met Donald Trump Jr., freaking stud. Almost met the president, his dad. I was so close to giving him a dick bone. And Don Jr.'s girlfriend, Kimberly, they threw a hell of a party. I gave each of them a brown bear dick bone. And I have a picture with me and Tana sitting there. Tana's wearing like a wolf overcoat shawl.
Yeah, I saw the post.
I had a pocket full of dick bones. I'm like, dude. Talk about representing Alaska. A couple brown bear dicks.
Wait. I gotta ask. Okay. You're like in the same building as the former president, possibly the next president. You got in that building with a pocket full of dick bones, and like the Secret Service didn't say anything.
Yeah.
They did.
No, I don't think Secret Service knew I had a pocket full of dicks or anything like that. It's kind of unknown, and it's kind of a gray area. Like, is it a martial arts weapon, or is it just an ancient artifact, or is it like a gag gift? No one really knows, right? It can be like, I'll sell you a dick, and it can be what you need it to be. But we went to a gated community. It was super cool. Had a great party. Don's like super badass. We're just talking about sheep hunting the whole time.
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, my dad's coming. You want to meet him? I'm like, well, fuck, dude, yeah. And I was really close, and then Secret Service came, and then like everyone was rushing up to the door when the president was showing up, and then I didn't get the chance to do it. Almost.
That's cool, man. I didn't know that. So
I would be retired, dude.
Oh man, you'd be retired. I want to point out. Like never on any podcast, I believe, has the sentence, "The Secret Service didn't know I had a pocket full of dicks," been on any other podcast. You can only find that here on the Western Huntsman podcast when I have my pal Adam Grenda on.
For the Secret Service or anyone who's listening, it's totally a joke. These are just like small toothpick-sized little wiener bones.
Yeah,
they're not going to hurt anyone. And I gave the president's son and his girlfriend's some brown bear ones because it's like a cool gag gift. A lot of people give them to their buddy, put it on their desk, and it's just like, what's that? I'm like, oh, pick it up. And it's like, here you go. Kind of freaks people out.
Man, this has got to be one of the coolest stories. Okay, yeah, keep going. Yeah.
So the other day, my wife comes down, and I'm literally skinning the Wolverine, pulling the dick out of it, right? Because it's a male, and you gotta harvest that dick. And she's acting all weird, right? She's like hanging out, like hanging on me. I'm like, dude, I'm freaking thin. Like, you need a piece of the plumber here, or can you wait? And I'm like, you freaking horny? And she's like, no. And I'm like, why are you acting all weird? And finally she stands back and like, I think we're pretty similar in this. And she's like, I've been freaking standing here for 5 minutes. She like looks down at her can and she's wearing a shirt that says Dick Bone King. And I'm like, where the fuck did you get that?
Yeah.
It was insane. And I just kept saying that. Where'd you get that? She made me shirts for Valentine's Day. Love of my life. She's an awesome gal.
She is, man. Like, she is an awesome gal.
Shirt off today. Yeah. And it had a picture of my face holding the brown bear dick bone, the same dick bone I gave Trump Jr. And it was the bear that Tom shot, 9'8" brown bear. I cut the dick out and I said, can I have this? He's like, Adam, you can have it. And I have a picture of my face on there. It says Dick Bone King. It's awesome. And now I'm getting shirts made and I'm going to have to come up with a link. I'm going to have to get security. It's going to be a whole thing, dude, but I will get you one for sure.
Man, I'd love to have one. Dude, I will sport that. Dude, I like have to meet with like architects and stuff like that. I will go sit in their conference room with that Dick Bone t-shirt. I think it is so cool because of the history and the story behind it. And I want to comment on your wife. You mentioned how cool your wife is. She's freaking badass, man. Like, she's super supportive and you support her and you guys have this great connection where, and she's bringing like ladies up and teaching about the wilds of Alaska and you're going like, sometimes I get envious of your guys' lifestyle because my wife would love that. My problem is, man, I don't want to deal with the winters in Alaska, but it sounds like they're not that bad with what you're doing now. And so
it's rough. I mean, my wife takes these girls out.
Yeah,
you know, and I got to be the superhero, and I got to go drop them pizza and ice cream and throw it out of the airplane window so these girls can catch it. And you know what's so hard? Like,
but they're out there on their own in the wild with the grizzlies and with the brown. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, but I dropped them fresh pizza, and I dropped one of those Yeti loadout boxes, and I threw it out of an airplane, and I had it full of Skittles, and I said, "Ladies, taste the rainbow. XOXO, love Dick Bone." And you know how many titties I saw for that? 0. I didn't get flashed
not once, huh?
For pizza,
that's a crime. Isn't that Isn't that like illegal in the state of Alaska? There's got to be a law against that. You should have saw some.
Yeah, if a pizza comes flying out of your airplane at your face and you get fresh pizza in the backcountry of Alaska, mandatory. Boobies, man. That's what happens. So I want to. No one's gonna feel sorry for me, but I just had to get that in there.
Well, that's what I'm here for, brother. If you need to release some anger, you know, I'm here for you. But I'm because I scrolled back down to where this T-shirt is with your wife. I think I turned the audio on. People could probably hear it. Let me close that out. Shit, man, how do I do that? Okay, there we go. So you had the T-shirts made, and you guys have like is that your call sign when you're on the what do they? Okay, you're gonna think I'm an idiot, dude. What do they call it in the plane? Is it just a radio, or do you guys like call it CB radio? Or
no, it's just a radio.
Do you have like a call sign?
Dude, I mean, my call sign would be Dick Bone, right? But I don't have.
Yeah.
I'm usually doing all this stuff by myself. I don't have buddies I fly with or anything. My buddy just came down, but out of the 300 to 350 hours a year, maybe 400 I'll fly with a wingman, maybe 20 of those, maybe. That's the most.
Go ahead. I cut you off there. Sorry, brother.
No, that's it. So yeah, my handle would be Dick Bone, you know, similar like Top Gun with Maverick and Viper and Goose. Yeah, Dick Bone. How's the weather up there? Dick Bone, you see any moose heads?
You need to start an Instagram. Start an Instagram with at Dick Bone. Going back to this party you went to, because I was blown away, man. You posted a picture that you were at this party, and I saw Don Jr. and all these guys there, all these people there that, like, I was like, man, Adam is like rubbing elbows with some, and you were on like Cody Rich's podcast recently, and I'm a huge fan of Cody's. I love Cody Rich, great guy.
He's a stud, dude. 100%,
dude, he is,
great
man.
human.
And I like if I ever feel like I need like deeper strategic advice, whether it's entrepreneurial or hunting or something. Like I always kind of
how to grow a 70s corn stash like Cody.
Fuck yeah, man. I gravitate towards Cody and his podcast, The Rich Outdoors. You know, I gravitate towards that one because it's deeper meaning and knowledge and wisdom that comes out of it. And I think I'm older than him, but I feel like he's just got so much more wisdom for some reason. Anyway.
Yeah, I gotta mention something. Cody,
go for it.
And Ben, my buddy Ben, Shed Crazy, they were both my main two guys. Said, dude, if anyone's gonna do it, make the jump, quit your job. Worst case, you go back to being a pilot in Alaska. It's the most secure job. Everyone's gonna need a pilot. Yeah. You know how to fly all kinds of things. You're marketable. Take the jump. And so I am forever grateful to Cody and Ben for that, because a lot of people are telling me, dude, hold back, hold on to the reins. You don't need it. You got a wife, you got kids, you need security. Where's your paycheck going to come from? What are you going to do?
I know.
You know?
Cody
and Ben are like, go for it.
Man, that is, I'm so glad you said that, because honestly, man, I told you I've got my own company now. I'm kind of doing that thing, and I'm like really chomping at the bit, because it's winter and the type of work that my company does essentially shuts down for the winter. So I get a little bored. But you know, a huge part of my decision was listening to one of Cody Rich's podcasts, and he inspires people, and you inspire people, and what the nice thing about doing my podcast, Adam, is I could surround myself and become friends with people like you and Cody Rich that help me kind of see things from a different perspective. Like, here's an example, man. And again, I know I've told this story before on the podcast, so bear with me, guys. But when I was in high school, I'd always wanted to be a Marine. Right, growing up when I was a kid, I'd always wanted to be a Marine, but to do my due diligence, I checked out the other services. I checked out the Air Force. I looked briefly at the Navy, and I looked at the Army. Right, and the Army guy kind of had me convinced that I'd have this better future by joining the Army. But I was also talking to the Marine recruiter. Okay, so roll with me with this, because and by the way, when I tell this story, I don't want any of you folks in the other services to ever get offended by this. I'm not telling you an opinion or trying to create any kind of riff or what do they call that? We have this rivalry, right? It's a fun rivalry, and I'm keeping it a fun rivalry. I am just simply telling you what the facts were in my 17-and-a-half-year-old mind. So back in the day, the recruiters would come to the high schools, and they'd set up in the cafeterias. Yep. You remember that?
Yep.
And they'd set up their little booth, and we'd go talk to them and whatnot. And so I had just talking to the Marine recruiter. This guy's name was Staff Sergeant Whitaker, and he was meaner than a fucking rattlesnake, but also like a super inspiring guy, like you and Cody Rich, right? This is why I'm telling this story. So the Army guy one day sets up this table in our high school cafeteria, and his name was like Sergeant or Tech Sergeant Johnson or some shit. Whatever, Army ranks are totally different than in the Marines, so I don't know. And I'm talking to him, and I liked him, and he was a super nice guy. And all of a sudden, the doors open to the cafeteria room, and Staff Sergeant Whitaker from the Marines walks in, and he's in his dress blue uniforms, right? Walks over to me. He busts me talking to the Army guy, the Army recruiter. And again, reminder, I was just in talking to Staff Sergeant Whitaker like 2 days before this whole event took place. And he walks up to me, and as loud as he can so the whole cafeteria hears it, looks at me and says, "What are you doing talking to this guy, Huntsman? I know you're not a pussy," right? Again, I don't want any of my Army guys listening to this to take offense to this. I'm just reporting what happened.
Yeah, it's not a dick bone, guys. Don't take it so hard.
Yeah, don't take it so hard. Just relax, because I have a lot of respect for all services, and I'm not trying to create any kind of, angry hatred riff or anything between the services. I've been to a couple of wars. I understand the value of all of them. Okay, I am just reporting to you as a 17-year-old kid what that did to me. He didn't care who hurt him, and he didn't care that the Army guy was standing there. He didn't care if he offended me. That's what he said to me. And by the end of that week, I was enlisted in the Marines in the delayed entry program to go to boot camp the following year. Okay, so what I'm trying to highlight is it was like this big influence, right? And these big life altering influences. And I just want to like point out, like, Cody kind of had that same life altering influence on me to go out on my own and start my own company, because I'm sick of working for other people. And I feel like he's done that for a lot of people. And like, here you are,
100% for me,
right? And yeah. like here you are, you're living your best life, selling dick bone t-shirts as part of your fucking entrepreneurship, and you're killing it, man. Like, what do you say to that?
Thank you, Cody. I mean, I asked him, like, dude, what am I doing with my life? I got my dream job. I got my dream girl. I got kids. It's secure. I get 2 to 3 weeks off vacation. My wife lets me hunt whenever I want. I got a cool boss. He lets me do a lot. I just want to do more. And he's like, here's what happened. He's like, it happens to me all the time. Goalpost move. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, picture you're in a football field. And you get a goalpost. You're 50-yard line. You get it. And then you get to the 20. And then you're like, okay, I'm in the red zone. And he's like, well, the goalpost just moved. And now it's up in the stadium. He's like, that's good. You want to be chasing the goalpost. You never want to be comfortable. And I'm like, you know what, dude? You're fucking right, Cody. I have lost my balls working for the federal government. I have turned into a freaking pussy, right?
Yeah.
Because I've become a worthless sack of shit who doesn't work hard, who came from North Dakota, who wanted to work hard, who got reprimanded for working hard, who said, hey, I haven't worked 40 hours this week. What do I do? They're like, well, you need to show that you worked 40 hours. And I didn't do shit. I sat in the motel room and I waited for the trainer to call me so we could go fly 1 hour of an 8-hour day. I haven't worked 8 hours. What am I supposed to do? I work for you. I'm on salary, but I haven't done anything. Well, just show. They couldn't say, hey, lie. Show that you worked 8 hours, but you didn't do shit today, and you were sitting on standby. And I just lost all my sauce, pretty much.
Yeah.
And Cody's like, dude, you're getting it back. Like, this is you, and your goalpost has moved. You thought this was it. This isn't it for you, bro. And he's like, it's probably going to move again. Happens to me all the time. And once I could see that and visualize, I'm like, dude, Cody's right. I'm here at the 5-yard line, and I'm like, I go for this move. I'm not staying here. I'm not nobody's bitch. You know, I'm going to go out and do my own thing. I will bet on me, Jim, 1,000 times over than I'm going to bet on the federal government taking care of me. 100%, right?
I absolutely, I don't know that I could agree with that anymore. And it's just such a, you know, there's this line from the movie Gettysburg, if there's any Civil War buffs out there. The General Armistead says to General Longstreet, it's amazing what one man and a cause can achieve. And they're, you know, that's in a different context, but it really is, man. Like, and here's what people need to hear, Adam, because I think that people close themselves off to being inspired by others, right? Like, dude, you inspire me. Cody Rich inspires me. My buddy Dirk Durham, he inspires me. You know, Cam Haynes, he inspires me. People that just do great things inspire me. And they inspire me in ways that I've like never met a lot of these guys face to face, but the modern day technology allows us to connect with people that we wouldn't have normally connected with in the past. And as much as I bitch about the negative connotations or results or consequences of things like social media, it doesn't actually overtake some of the positive stuff that comes out of it, right? So like Cody Rich, I would have never known about Cody Rich if it weren't for social media. And so I'm just saying, like, I think people need to understand that they need to have some self-awareness about what people can do to influence them to make their life consequentially more positive. And understand that, like, I am one of those guys that thought that when I was in my 40s, I'd be happy and content, making a decent living and living the American dream and paying my bills and having a good time, taking my vacation to go do some elk hunting and whatnot. And the thing is there's many of us out there, we get this fire built up in us where we are never content. We are not content. We're not content punching a clock. We're not content just working the same routine job over and over again, or we're not content, like in your case, you didn't want to work for the federal government so that they had the say on the destiny that you desired. You decided to create your own destiny. And
they had a destiny. They had told me I had to get the jab, or I wasn't. It was before it was get the jab, or you're not going to fly. We want everyone to be vaccinated, just like Alaska Airlines crews. And I came home one day, and I was the last person to ever take it. Told my wife I'm going to get it. She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "I want to fly." And I walked out the door. She's like, "Sheep." And I think she called me a faggot when I got back. And that tells you who my wife is. She's not a Democrat, if you haven't figured that out. Yeah, they forced that. They forced a lot of stuff on me, and I just didn't want any more control over my life to be had with someone else. I wanted to call the shots, you know?
And that's exactly it. And so many people, I think so many people go through their life and they get to like retirement age and beyond, and they're like, man, I wish I would have taken the step to do my own thing, or control my own destiny, or stand up for myself, or make myself better. You know, like here I am, 70 years old, and I'm way overweight, and I can't go into the backcountry to hunt elk anymore. But yet nowadays, because of modern technology, they can get on Instagram and see that, like, my buddy Bob Terwilliger can go out into the backcountry and still kill elk at that age, and pull them out himself. You know, and so it's these choices, and I think that's where I get really hung up on, Adam, and I don't know about you, I get really hung up on the fact that I never want to get to a point where I look back on my life and I have these major regrets. Do I regret things? Yeah, man. There was a time in my life I drank and drive. I regret the fuck out of that. There was a time in my life where I got really rowdy with some friends that we really could have gotten in some trouble. We were troublemakers, and we could have been in jail. And I regret a lot of that, because my moral compass was way different than it is today. And I have those kind of things. But an overarching regret as to the path I determined my own life to take, I will never be one of those people that I want to regret that. I want to be like people like Cody, like Adam Grenda, like Bob Terwilliger. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's this badass guy down in Colorado that is still out there on horseback. Right. Yeah, he's still in there. He's guiding hunts. He's in great, fantastic shape. I don't know. Actually, I don't want to like age him if he's listening to this. Don't get mad at me, Bob. I don't know that he's actually hit 70 yet. But if he is, he's a badass, man. He's a freaking badass. And I've talked about him a bunch on the show. He's been on the podcast. But my point is I want to be like that. I don't ever want to look back and have regrets and think, man, I wish I would have listened to Adam Grenda, or I would have paid attention to the inspiration that Cody Rich offers on his entrepreneurship kind of discussions. Or somebody else, you know, name anybody else that can inspire a person. And I never want to look back on that and regret it, man. And I feel like that's one of the reasons you're so inspirational yourself, is because, you know, you make it sound like this little deal. Oh, you know, I grew up in Post Falls, Idaho, and I like to road hunt, or hunt from a truck or whatever. And
how dare you assume I like to road hunt from my
dude, I ain't gonna lie, I've road hunted before. And but I wasn't implying that. I mean, you know, hunt from the truck versus hunting from your plane is what so allow me to clear. I get excited. I get excited, brother. Bear with me. But
I road hunted a lot.
I feel like you're one of those dudes that you're not going to regret stuff. You're not going to get to an old age and regret shit. Your life, you've adopted these kids. You've created this wonderful family in Alaska, and you guys are just super tight, and you're doing all these you're killing giant grizzly bears. You're killing I'm sorry, is it brown bears or grizzly bears? I don't know. Alaskans are weird. Yeah. So you're killing these giant moose, these doll sheep, you know, and flying into these spots to get them. I just feel like it's envy. I envy that. Like you're never going to regret anything. What would you say to somebody who is like thinking about doing or living. Hey, man, before I ask you that, are you okay on time, or am I keeping you too late?
No, you're good.
Okay, just tell me, because I can go long-winded, man. So you just let me know. What would you say, like, to maybe a younger Adam Grenda that had maybe doubts or some self-doubt even? Maybe they feel like they're not worthy of moving to Alaska and being a bush pilot or whatever their dream might be. But a younger version of yourself, what would you say?
I just told this to a 23-year-old kid. I just told this, I don't know if I got on the podcast or we were bullshitting before, but 23-year-old kid wrote me, he's like, dude, how do I do what you do? And I wrote him back. It was on Instagram. I said, what do you mean exactly? And he's like, you just live a killer life. You fly. That's badass. He's like, I died down in Montana. He's like, I have no ties, no wife, no kids. He's like, I'm ready to move. Alaska like a killer and everything. And so I sent him like 2 or 3 voice memos, on Instagram. So we make those for about a minute. And I said, dude, the biggest thing I'll tell you is there's a big difference between talking and doing. That's what my dad always said growing up. And there's a lot of guys that say, I'm going to go be an entrepreneur. I'm going to take Cody Rich's course. And I'm going to quit my job. But no one actually acts on it, dude. It takes some balls to actually pull the trigger. And I feel like I've got some big balls. And even I struggled pulling the trigger. And I had a wife that was making money. It wasn't like I was the sole provider. She made a shitload of money, but I was just scared to leave my job because everyone likes comfort, right? Everyone wants to be comfortable and know what's going to happen. Where are my next paychecks coming from? I don't know where my next paycheck's coming from in 6 months, but I'll figure it out. I'm betting on myself once again. And I told this kid, I'm like, dude, I don't have hardly any regrets in life. I've done a lot of dumb shit, and I'm lucky to be where I am, and pretty lucky to not just be in prison for being a dumbass. And I thank my beautiful wife for that. And I said, but one regret I do have is not moving to Alaska sooner. It's like, you're young, you can get up here. And I said, airplane unlocks a lot of places, but you kind of got to start young. If you're going to be good and really good, you got to start young, and you got to do it a lot. You got to go hard and fast with the flying thing. You got to get into it, immerse yourself into it, do it as a job, and have it become a part of your body. Like, it is all you want to do. And Alaska flying got its hooks in the knee, and it just took over, and it's all I wanted. And now that I combine that transportation, which is one of my favorite things in the world, with my other favorite thing in the world, which is hunting, and go whenever I want and take whoever I want and don't have to ask for time off. Like, dude, I'm living my dream. And I get guys that tell me all the time, man, you're living my dream. I'm like, no, dude, I'm living my dream. You may be jealous of this, but this is my dream. I planned this out. And I was the fat kid sitting on the shitter before Facebook and Instagram, when you actually had to read a thing called a magazine, kids. And I would look at Outdoor Life, and I'd look at shit on Alaska. I'm like, dude, that's badass, man.
Yeah.
That would be so, that would be so cool, right? To fly a moose rack out on a wing strut. Well, this year I flew out too. And you know what they call that? We call that Wednesday. It's crazy.
Man, you make an excellent point, actually, and one that, like, if there's young listeners listen to this, that I'd like to, like, kind of double up on. I'd mentioned earlier, I sometimes I'm envious of your lifestyle, but I'm not. Adam, no offense, man, but I'm not that envious, because, like, what I love is you're following your passion. Like, I am not passionate. The only thing I get passionate about when it comes to flying airplanes is the liberation it offers you, especially in a place like Alaska. It wouldn't be super beneficial to where I'm at now, right? And so, like, I love what I'm envious of with you, and not in a bad way, in a good way. It's inspirational. I think that should be that's a better word than envious. What's inspiring is you're living the life that you chose to live. And I'm living the life that I chose to live. And that is where I think people listening to this, maybe the younger guys, especially younger folks, might be a good key takeaway is it's not, you don't want to grow up to be Adam Grenda. You want to grow up to be whoever you are. But maybe Adam would be a really good inspiration and mentor to that, right? Because you said you don't want to follow. How did you put that, man? Now I'm like drawing a blank on it. I had one freaking.
Guys are just like, man, you're living my dream. And I'm like, no, this is my dream.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Living your dream. Yes. Yes. And so the point is allow someone like Adam to help you create your own dream, because Adam's living his dream, not your dream. And man, I freaking love the way you put that. That's an amazing takeaway. I that's what I'm always looking for with all of these episodes. I always want somebody to get done with an episode, and I don't always achieve this. But I really try to have everybody, when the episode is over, they're like, man, I have this key takeaway. I've really learned something, because, you and I, we usually yak for an hour or two, but there's got to be some key takeaways. And that, my friend, you articulated perfectly. I do have some, okay, we're on like this tangent, man. Going back to...
Yeah, maybe you want to switch topics. I'll end on that. Life's too short. I don't have a lot of regrets. I try and learn some stuff, but man, like, take the jump and make the jump. I'm super grateful for Cody, for Ben, on all that stuff to put me in a position where I am now, because I feel like I got fucking life by the balls, man. It's great.
Yes, sir.
But my wife is the catalyst. I would be nowhere. I would still be drinking my face off, and waking up next to a fat chick, pissed drunk, and Keystone Light. If she didn't come along, and then she's the one that told me, she's like, why didn't you just quit being a pussy and quit your job? You're always saying everyone needs to check their problems at the door, and you're being an asshole when you come home from work because you hate the Park Service now. So she was the catalyst in all this. It's her fault. And here I am now, Dick Bone King, making shirts.
Isn't it amazing, man? Like a good wife. Like you don't... I wouldn't be anywhere if it weren't for my wife. She is the one that, she is like the catalyst that allows me to perform in life, right? And so that's an important aspect of it. So
way to steal my vernacular there, Jim.
Did I steal something?
Come up with your own word. Yeah, I think she's the catalyst. You just copy me right off the bat, dude.
That's what I do, man. I plagiarize.
Okay, though.
I'm here to plagiarize.
It made you sound really good.
Have you seen the Cockbone T-shirt that I just came out with?
Motherfucker. I will sue your ass. Yeah.
No, but it's true, man. It's true. For you young dudes listening out there,
don't rush that choice.
Don't
man.
rush that choice.
You find the right one.
Yep.
It's exponential, as you know. It's exponential if you get a good one. If you get a bad one, it's exponentially sour. How fast you can wreck your life and suck your soul.
I have seen great men fall to a sour wife. I say it that way because I'm a man and I know that side of it, but I don't see it the other way around as much. Like I don't see it the other way where like women seem to be a little bit more independent. Like men rely on their wives, I feel like, more than women rely on their husbands, if that makes sense. And I'm talking about from a perspective of pursuing your life's passions and creating your own destiny. You need the support of your wife. And so if you rush that decision and you make the wrong choice with the wrong woman, I'm talking to the young men out there, it could really fuck your future up. And so pay attention to that. Maybe we should do an episode on that sometime. But anyway, getting back to the dick bone thing, man. You kind of sparked some questions when we're talking. You met Don Jr. and you got to hang out with him. Did you give him a dick bone, by the way?
Yeah, I already told you. I gave him and his girlfriend a dick bone.
Oh, I thought you said. Okay, hold on, because I remember. You got to bear with me, man. I'm in the middle of a giant remodel, and I feel like it's messing with my mind, and I don't remember shit. What's he like? Like Don Jr. What is like? Tell me a little bit about that a little bit more. I wanted to dig into that, and then we got sidetracked.
Just like me and you, just he could sit around a campfire and bullshit. The guy from Field Ethos invited me. His wife got sick, so he couldn't go, and so I'm literally going to this party. I didn't know anyone. No, I knew one guy from Walther, and then I knew Aaron Davidson from Gunworks, and they were there. So I was talking to a few people. But it's weird rolling up to a house. And I looked at my wife. I'm like, so we're definitely the poorest people here, like 100%. And she's like, oh yeah, right. And I am in a freaking blazer and jeans and cowboy boots. It's like 85 degrees in Florida, sweating my balls off.
Was
it
at Mar-a-Lago or was it somewhere else?
No, it's somewhere else. And top secret, bro. And not that top secret. But anyways, went. It was super cool. And eventually met Don. He's super busy. And I just asked him, I was like, he kept coming back to his bullshit about sheep hunting. He just loved talking about sheep and hunting in Alaska and cubs. And he's like, dude, I just love what you're doing. I'm like, you know who the fuck I am? And he's like, oh yeah, dude, I watched all your stuff and your daughter's moose. And I'm just like, wow, that's pretty badass.
That's badass.
But it gets better, right? Then he's like, hey, do you want to meet my dad? A couple of times like, hey, do you want to drink? And I don't drink anymore. I'm like, no, I appreciate that. He's like, you want a cigar? And I'm like, no. And I'm just looking at Tanner when he like walk away because he kept getting drug away by people. And I was like, dude, President's son's asking me if I want to drink multiple times and offer me cigars. Like, that's a humble dude, right? I mean,
yeah.
That's a really humble guy. Just Mr. Super Popular. He loves long range shooting. Talked about cubs. We talked about Alaska, Canada, his kids hunting, our kids hunting. And I asked him, I was like, Don, do you know many people here? He's like, dude, I know like 5 people here. And there's like 400. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I would much rather just like talk about hunting and stuff like that. He's like, I got to play politics and stuff like that and make the rounds. But he's like, I love just being a freaking bum in the mountains and hunting and just sleeping in the tent and hunting sheep. And that's my passion. So like we clicked really well. And probably one of the best compliments I've ever got is when he introduced me to Kimberly, his girlfriend later on. He's like, honey, I need you to meet this guy. And she's like looking at my beard and like fondles my beard. And he's like, this is the man someday I aspire to be. Ultimate bush pilot, hunter of all things in Alaska. Yeah, he said, this is the man I aspire to be. I don't know if it's the booze talking, but dude, yeah. And if words of affirmation is your love language like it is to me, I was like, holy shit, Don. You know? Pretty cool. No homo, right?
Yeah. No, it's so cool, man. That's a big deal.
Cool dude, man.
Big deal.
That's a big
deal. It's always interesting, you know, like thinking about. We all know who Don Jr. is, right? I mean, like just thinking about. They always seem so not real or something. You know, because we see him on TV and we see him on social media, and some of these folks like it just always seems so not real or something. So it's interesting hearing somebody that's been there and met him in person.
Maybe this is how it is. Like when I get Instagram messages like, oh, I saw you at Costco in Anchorage. I didn't want to come say hi. Like first time I laid eyes on Don Jr. Like, holy shit, that's Don Jr. And Taylor's like, yeah, we're at his fucking party. And I'm just like, yeah, but that's the president's son, you know?
Yeah.
And like I was like fangirling a little bit. And then you go talk to him, he's just like, hey dude, how you doing? Man, you should be kicking ass this year. I'm like, you know who I am, bro? Like, yeah, you've been freaking kicking ass. And we have a couple mutual friends here and there. And yeah, we're both just really into the same stuff and just cool, super cool dude. We're probably getting close somewhere down the road, you know?
Well, hey, I have to take the opportunity. Like, because you're on my show, Adam, maybe Don Jr. will listen to this, and I want Don Jr. to know you should come on the Western Huntsman and talk to me, brother. I'd love to have you.
Yeah.
How's it for a
busy
plug?
Man, dude.
I know.
He's a busy man. We just need Trump back in office. And if anything, dude, I would love Don to be president someday. I don't know if he will, but with how much of a hunter he is.
Does he have like political aspirations?
I don't know. We try to not talk about that because I would much rather talk about hunting than politics. I don't know shit about politics, dude. And I think it was a breath of fresh air for him to just talk to me. And because most people there want to be political and stuff like that. But I mean, dude, it was just wild, right? I met one dude. He's looking at Montana's little wolf coat and shawl. He's like, oh, that's really cool. I'm like, hey, my name's Adam. What are you doing? Most people are super cool. There are a couple of really rich 20 people there. But he's like, oh, I'm an aviation. I said, oh, I'm a pilot. What are you doing? He's like, oh, you're a pilot? I said, yeah. And he's like talking to me my hours and stuff. Like, yeah, I got like 7,000 hours. He's like, you should come work for me. I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, we own some jets and we kind of have a private company. And I'm like, oh, what kind of jets? And he's like, oh, mostly citations. You know, we had a couple Gulfstreams. I'm like, sweet. I'm like, so how many? Like, you know, like a fleet of like 6 or 8. He's like, no, about 100, 102. And I'm like, holy shit, bud.
Whoa.
You got 100 citations? I'm like, what is this business? And he's like, well, you basically, it's an entry fee. And you pay your yearly entry fee, and you're a client of ours, and we'll supply a jet and a corporate pilot, take you anywhere in the world for pleasure of business. I said, how much is business? And he's like, about 2%. And I said, okay. And I said, how much is the buy-in? He's like, $100,000. I'm like, holy shit.
Goddamn.
So a person gives you $100,000 as a retainer, and then they just get you, and you basically use that $100,000 as like part of your, and you just chip off that as you go to Morocco or Italy or Hong Kong or wherever you need to go for 98% pleasure flights or whatever. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, who are your clients? And he's like, oh, about most all these people in this room. I'm just looking around and I'm just like, dude, this is like, I am Lil Nemo here and I am in the big ocean now. Like I am.
Dude, I would feel so.
I got a dick to tell you.
Yeah, you got a dick bone to sell.
I got a pocket full of dicks, and these guys like own hospitals and jets.
I would be so out of place somewhere like that, man. Like I would be so out of place. That's so funny. It's cool you got to go and rub elbows with
Jim, I gotta stand by just a second. I'm sorry, I gotta take this call real quick. It's important.
All right, guys. While he's taking that call, I want to get back to what we were talking about because I'm recording this with Adam over the phone, and so because we tried Zoom, it didn't work. But I wanted to get back to like the inspirational thing and doing your own thing, guys, and just talk to you for a minute. Like, I'm not kidding you, man. If you guys want to do something and create your own destiny and go start your own business and work for yourself, and you have an idea, you have an idea, or you have like a passion for something where you feel like you can create your own business and create your own destiny and your own income where you're not reporting to anybody else. Believe me when I tell you, it's not easy, but it's worth it. And if you are of that mindset, go check out Cody Rich's podcast. It's called The Rich Outdoors, and he does a really good mix between like hunting content to elk hunting, whatever, all kind of hunting content, but he mixes that with like this entrepreneurship idea. And I'm a big fan.
I'm back, Jim. By the way.
You're back?
Sorry
Okay.
about that.
Sorry, I just
need you to do a bunch of editing. I just dropped a buddy off at the airport and the flight got canceled, so I got to go get him here in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will give Cody a plug. I did the Rich Outdoors course. He's got an entrepreneurship course that Cody does. And it's worth it, dude. It's a lot of good ideas and engagement, interaction. I'm still involved, but I'm too busy to really be actively involved. But that is a really good resource of people who have all kinds of different ideas. Hey, I have a side gig. I want to cut grass and mow lawns, or hey, I know shit about roofs. I want to do some online consulting in the weekends. And I would highly advise people to check that out. That was another big part of my journey, is to do that. Talk to other guys, and I talked to other guys, and I'm like, dude, I got a plan here. I got shit kind of figured out compared to others. I think I can make this work,
Fucking, it's so great, man. I love hearing that. And by the way, dude, don't lie to me. Was that Don Jr. that called you when I had to go fill in a bunch of space there?
No, I just told you it was a girl from the airlines. I dropped my buddy off. I dropped my buddy off, and the flight got canceled, and their phones don't work. So she said, "Hey, they're sitting here at the bar. Come pick up your friends." And I said, "Okay, I'll be there in a minute when I'm off the phone." So,
all right, brother. Well, I'll let you get rolling here. I feel like Adam. We talked about doing this. I feel like we achieved kind of what my hope was out of it, and just you're always. I just love getting you on the show, man. I'd love to get you on more often, in fact. But I like it, dude. I do a lot of podcasts, but I feel like I can be like the most real on yours. And I wish more people were. I'm not like on my high horse or whatever, but there's so many people I know personally, and I see them on social media. And I'm going to the Hunt Expo. Are you going to be there this next week? Yeah, man. I'm gonna see you. We're gonna meet in person for the first time.
Okay. Yeah. No, dude, your memory's getting shit with your remodel.
Oh, yeah.
I met you at the
the F4WM. We hung out at the table. Yeah. God, I'm sorry, man.
Steve Johnson. Yeah.
Steve Johnson. What? He got rid of his Facebook and his Instagram. So like we text each other every once in a while, but I feel like he moved 1,000 miles away. I need him. I need to connect with him again, but we got big plans for the spring. Are you coming to any of the F4WM banquets this year?
No, I'll be too busy, hopefully trapping and killing shit up here, but I am going to the Sully Expo. I get there I'll probably show up at the Expo around noon Thursday. I'm working the all-in booth there. Thursday and Saturday, Friday and Sunday, I'm going to be walking around and shit. But I'll link up with you there somewhere. You got my number. And be good to bullshit there. But yeah, I wanted to end like, I wish more people would be transparent and real. Don't show a fake side of you, and then when you meet people in public, you're a total asshole, you're a total bitch, or you're an introvert or something like that.
Yeah.
So many people show the best side of themselves, and I really try to show the shitty parts of life too. In Alaska,
do, man.
And like
you do a good job of that.
Yeah, look at this ski. I hit a fucking rock today and bent my ski, so it's like, well, bummer. Way to go, Grenda.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Well, I'm going to hit you up, man, down in Salt Lake, because I'm going to put this episode out like right before this expo kicks off, and I'm going to hit you up. I'll be in the Eastman's / Cryptic booth, but I'll be wandering around a lot, and I'm going to come and see you. And I just, you're one of my favorite people, man. I love getting you on the show. I love following you on Instagram because I know what you're posting is real. It's authentic. It's not a bunch of freaking flutter kicking bullshit that like isn't real, and like, not only that, man, like what I do is real, but I'm not nearly as effective in the field as you are. So you got this thing where like you're super real and you're also super fucking effective. And like, it's just fun. You're just an inspiring dude, man. So, and I just want to let you know that before we kick this up.
I really
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It was a killer time, and I will see you in Salt Lake. I need to actually get off the phone. I got to go find my cleanest looking flat bill and start working on my mullet because all those Utah soy boys down there, we're coming for you, and we're going to show you what a man looks like. But
that's right, brother.
Yeah, they all have their buckle girl jeans on and their mullets and the flat brim, but I make fun of everyone. So,
all right, brother.
Whatever.
We'll stick on the line. And
you got it.
But before we do that, to tell everybody where they can find you online.
Oh, just Instagram. It's at Grenda89. You can put it in the show notes, but I don't have the link for the t-shirt yet. That's just kind of in the infant stage, but I got like a Dickbone Enterprises, a Dickbone King. See. I'm thinking maybe some Dick. I told Tana, what about some Dickbone sweats right across the chick's ass? This Dickbone goes here. She's like, no, and I'm like, it might sell.
It probably would be. No, that would be a great idea.
I know all my buddies would buy it. Right?
I'd buy one for my wife, man. So, yeah, that's a great idea, man. So everybody listening, pay attention. The Dickbone attire, if you will be available soon, and there'll be some links. But if you just follow Adam and on Instagram at Grenda89.com, or I always want to say .com after that, man. I'm old school. At Grenda89. He'll keep you updated on all that information. So, Adam, I really appreciate you joining me, man. Always a pleasure. I know we're going to do it again, and I can't wait to meet you again down there at the expo there. We'll have to chit-chat for a little bit, buddy.
Okay, looking forward to it, man. I appreciate it. Thanks,
all right, bro.
Thanks again.
Thanks again. We'll see you.
See ya.
You made it. That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you're following us on Instagram at The Western Huntsman and write us a good review at Apple Podcasts. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on the mountain.